they see kind of, who, where they're going to fit. They ask these questions, but they kind of look at the roster and see where they fit in. One thing I think playing for an original 16 has a lot of attraction for players, but they look at our situation and where they might fit in. Have an opportunity to play on a line with Larkin and Bertuzzi, or play with one of the young D-men, or play in goals. They've done their homework. They kind of know our team. They know they will fit in, and I think there's somewhat of a optimistic vibe around our team that we are up and coming. And I would say that very cautiously, like we've got a lot of work to do. But it was encouraging that in speaking with the guys that they had some optimism and felt like that we are a bit of a team on the rise. So that was a bit of a selling feature to them. But again, I caution we got a lot of work to do. I'm hoping we're inching closer towards being a playoff contending team, but I still think I'm counting on our younger guys to get better, and I'm really hopeful that the veterans that have come in are going to push us a little forward and make us a little bit better.
When you're a team that is trying to get to that playoff contention, and obviously the end goal is a Stanley Cup, you have needs. You address some of those: a center, a right-handed shot, a couple of defensemen, somebody that's good at power plays. Like, what is the next need, and how do you address it moving forward?
Well, in the short term, the group that we have has to kind of gel together and get cohesive. We have a lot of changes in the coaching staff. We will probably, the coaching staff will implement the way he wants to play in all zones, in all areas of the game. That's going to take a little bit of time for everybody to figure out where they fit and who they best play with.
That's okay. We'll turn around at this roundabout.
The team that is a team that you're expecting to be in the playoffs annually, that's going to push for a Stanley Cup at some point. We got a long way to go before we're there. So the next step for us, again, I think I look at just the overall statistics, regardless of wins and losses. The obvious statistics in goals, special teams play. We can improve in all those areas. Our record will get better, and we'll become a more competitive team moving towards being a playoff contender.
Talking with the Red Wing general manager, Steve Yzerman, following busy free agency and just a busy offseason in general. Steve, I'm trying to find the right way to ask this. I heard you yesterday say you've got new players, new coach. You want guys to show up to camp like they have something to prove, kind of like a sense of urgency. Is it fair to say that the same is for you, maybe an increased sense of urgency going into your fourth season?
Not really. I don't have an increased sense of urgency. I just, again, we're slowly moving. Last year, Steiger comes in, Raymond comes in. There's two young guys. We're looking for Philip Medina, Philip Veronik, and Clark to take on an increased role. Does Simon Edmondson make our team? Any of the, Elmer Soderblom, Jonathan Berggren, can they push for a spot on the team? For myself, it wasn't a active or, the moves were made out of desperation or urgency. It was really like, again, we've got roster spots to fill. We're trying to improve our team. In some cases, we did it on short-term contracts, and in others, Andrew Kopp, Billy Husso to 3 years, Ben Sherratt to 4, that we felt we were comfortable with the term and the dollar amount. So ultimately, we'll continue to build and remain on the same approach. It's just we saw an opportunity now with our cap space and roster needs to fill some of those holes. And for the first time, I guess, in 3 or 4 years, I chose to go with a little bit longer term, but that was going to be necessary to get these guys.
You can't always foresee everything or everyone that might become available in free agency. I think one of the surprises for us is that the night before free agency opened up, Johnny Gaudreau became available. Did you explore the option of adding a player like Johnny Gaudreau to the roster?
No, not really. Obviously, we're following what's happening around the league and who might become free or not. But if you look at our lineup and our roster, we have a lot of wingers, a lot of left-hand shot wingers. So it wasn't, he's an excellent hockey player, obviously, but it wasn't like a priority for us that tying up that much money in terms. We have a lot of left shot wingers, different than him, so that just wasn't really a priority for us at this point.
Can you give us an update on Dylan Larkin? There's been whispers about an extension. Just how would you characterize his level of importance to not only what you guys are doing now, but beyond?
Well, he's the captain of our team. I think Dylan, I don't know if he's 26 yet. Excellent person, excellent hockey player. It's our intention to keep him here. Hopefully his entire career would be ideal. He's a player that I think is going to be one of the leaders and will play an important role in us being a good team and a Stanley Cup contender one day. So, again, he's the captain. I expect him to be here and for a long time. And regarding his contract, we'll figure that out. It'll get done when it gets done.
I haven't had a chance to ask you about Derek Lalonde and your relationship with him, your experience with him. Last time we talked or we heard from you that, it's one of the things that you wanted to add, or the guys that you had added to your staffs previously was guys that you were familiar with. Obviously, you're familiar with Derek Lalonde and his time with you down in Tampa Bay. Give us a snapshot of your expectations of him heading into this season.
Well, I'll go back a little bit. Just as I was kind of leaving the Tampa organization, Derek was coming in. I had a little bit of familiarity with him that he was coaching in Toledo and Detroit's East Coast League farm team. So a lot of the people within the Red Wing organization had a relationship with Derek and spoke very highly of him. Obviously, I know a lot of the people down in Tampa. I was able to do a lot of background work and got extremely positive recommendations, reviews, reports on Derek, his style. So I like his background. I like his coaching background. He's kind of gone through every level and been a successful coach at every level. I think he's a combination of the ability to keep the culture or the locker room, the atmosphere positive, upbeat, a little bit loose, in a positive way, and then but also run a really strict disciplined program as well. So I think his personality and his way of doing things will be really good for where our team is at now. I love the fact that he's been a part of a successful team, working with a top coach in John Cooper. That I'm sure he'd take a lot of the way John Cooper ran his program. He'll bring that to Detroit for us. So with our group, with our team, I expect I talked about defense and goals against and improved special teams. I expect him to focus on that. I know he will, and ultimately it's up to the players on the ice to do it, and the coach has to figure out a way to get the most out of the group that he has. And it's my job to give him the best possible team we can, and we'll continue to try and improve it for him. So I'm excited to work with him. He's a good man. He's a hard worker. He's smart. And I'm pretty confident that he'll do a real good job coaching his team.
Steve Yzerman, General Manager of the Detroit Red Wings. Good catching up with you, Steve.
Anytime, guys.
It's 97.1.
97.1 The Ticket. Traffic.
This report brought to you by Amazing Smiles Dental Implant Center. Looking at the drive this morning, accident-free. We do have some road work coming up today as part of midday construction involving single-lane closures, 75 both ways between M59 and Jocelyn. Imagine getting your smile and confidence back in one day. Dr. Jindali at Amazing Smiles Dental Implant Center can do this for you. One location, the latest technology and financing available. Summer is here. Don't hide your smile anymore. Take your life back by calling Amazing Smiles today, 248-955-9000 or amazingsmiles.us. I'm Michelle Pena with traffic.
The latest on the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, and the MLB on the Boston Balls Podcast with Pat Caputo. Get it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, you want to get away, relax, and just simply have a good time? Get to the D Las Vegas for all that you want to get out of Vegas. The D is taking all the necessary precautions to make sure your stay is safe and you can enjoy all the comforts of a high-end Las Vegas hotel without missing out on any of the high gaming energy and nightlife that you're looking for. Remember, if you want a great steak, the best one in Vegas is right there at Andiamo Steakhouse. Or if you want something a little bit more casual, you've got the D Grill, you've got the American Coney Island. Nothing like a Coney dog after a nice evening out on Fremont Street at the D Las Vegas. The staff can set you up with a round of golf, and you can party all night at the Long Bar. So get a group together, get to the D Las Vegas, book a room at thed.com. That's thed.com. Or if you're staying on the Strip, make sure you put the D Las Vegas in downtown Vegas on your agenda. The D Las Vegas, your home for Detroit sports in Vegas.
This is Boomer Esiason with an Odyssey Sports Minute. Just when Rory McIlroy's 8-year major drought appeared coming to an end, he was struck by thunder from down under. Cameron Smith uncorked an unprecedented 5 straight birdies to start the back 9 and capture the 150th Claret Jug. Smith's first career major was keyed by his second 64 in 3 days, and obviously, weather had a lot to do with it. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Hey, Jim! Thanks for coming.
Are you kidding? I never miss one of your dinner parties. How's the new job?
Somehow we're doing great, and I stopped working weekends. Thanks to how smooth everything runs on NetSuite by Oracle.
Fantastic. We're still using QuickBooks.
Why haven't you upgraded to NetSuite?
We're making QuickBooks work, sort of.
Watch your language. The kids are right there. Sorry, Amy. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, budgeting, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. And 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control since upgrading from QuickBooks to NetSuite.
Yeah, sounds like it's time for me to switch to NetSuite. Over 31,000 businesses already use NetSuite. And for a limited time, NetSuite has extended their one-of-a-kind financing program offer to those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/play. Head to netsuite.com/play for this extended special financing offer on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. netsuite.com/play.
Driveway wants to know, what's your happy place? Chilling out at a backyard barbecue? Watching a football game on the 50-yard line? Or maybe just sitting on the beach soaking up the sun? Wherever your happy place is, think about yourself buying or selling a car from there. Welcome to Driveway.com, where you can feel completely in control of your car buying or selling experience. At Driveway, we believe in transparency and offer you our best price up front to keep you in the super chill zone. Buy or sell your next car from your happy place at Driveway.com.
Summers will never be the same when you transform your outdoor space with Trex Transcend composite decking from Builders First Source. Fade, stain, scratch, and mold resistant, Trex Transcend composite decking from Builders First Source gives you a premium, ageless look. Builders First Source continues to provide the same service you always expected at John's Lumber, now with a national brand name. Save now with Trex Transcend composite decking on sale with 2 locations in Clinton and Shelby Townships. Builders First Source, Macomb County's largest decking dealer.
Looking for a career-focused education in 2 years or less? At Henry Ford College, their 1-year and 2-year programs get you ready for big things. They also offer 4-year options like culinary school and dozens of transfer programs. Get ready for your future at Henry Ford College. Visit hfcc.edu. Breaking news on 97.1 The Ticket is brought to you by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified. The latest news and information on the Big Ten on the 5-Star Zone podcast with Rico Baird. Get it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Live from the Jamie Samuelson studio, here's Stoney and Jansen.
Good morning, Jim Costa in with Stoney. If you missed it, right out the gate of the show, we spun the wheel of content, everything Stoney missed, Odyssey.com rewind. Good morning.
Yes.
We have a bunch of Tiger stuff to discuss, and I take no pleasure in doing this. They limp into the All-Star break, 3-8 on their road trip. The drafts began last night, and Stoney, I don't have anything against the guy they drafted, Jace Jung. Apparently
Young.
This is
Pronounced Young.
Is it Young?
Pronounced Young.
Okay. He looks like the kind of guy they've been missing. A college bat who hits for contact and power. He's a lefty.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a home in the field. People think, second base might have to end up at first or DH.
Not a great fielder.
No, right side of the infield if he's lucky. I have nothing against the pick itself. It actually feels like a pick that this team could use.
Makes sense looking at some of the mocks and Keith Law's like big board pretty much where people thought he would be. Some people actually thought he would go a little earlier.
Yeah, I think 6 to 12 was kind of the range, and he went at the very end of his range. They need bats. I don't know if you've noticed, the Tigers can't hit. They can't score any runs. Drafting a college bat with power at the left side, I can't complain about that at all. And I have no complaints about Jung, the hitter.
Yeah, I was just sitting there saying, please don't take a high school.
And he was sitting there, Brock Porter.
Yeah,
Orchard Lake St. Mary's guy.
He's still sitting there as we get into round 3 because I think that's a slotting deal. He's going to go to Clemson, make a little NIL money, and get ready.
Come back in 2 years and get drafted.
By the way, if you were in that situation, would you go to college, get your whatever the NIL money is, you know, get treated a lot better than you do in the minor leagues? That's for damn sure. Yeah. Or do the minor league. I still would. I would take the signing bonus, go the minor league route, and if it doesn't work out, you can always go back to college. Yeah. If you go to college and play, and you get hurt or you're not as good, you may be done. You may never get that money, that signing bonus that you could have gotten out of high school. It's a tough conundrum because college experience is great, but like I said, doesn't work out, you can always go back.
Yeah, so just a quick breakdown on the Porter thing. The way I looked at that is he wanted above slot value. There's, not to be too nerdy, but slot value. He wanted more money than they were going to give him. So he said, I have the leverage to go to college. And because of his age, he can do 2 years in college and be draft eligible, as opposed to most of these guys who have to go and be juniors and wait 3 years. So he had some leverage. He flexed it. Nobody wanted to pay. He'll go to Clemson. That's the expectation now. How the Tigers?
So why don't you like Chase Young?
What I don't like about him is nothing to do with him. With the backdrop of Spencer Torkelson going down to the minors, it is yet another example of how this organization can't develop hitters. You could give them prime Barry Bonds, and I don't know if he makes it to the major leagues and is successful. You could give them Griffey Jr., and I'm not sure if it works out.
I agree with you. The only caveat I'll say, because there's no defending the indefensible, where they can't develop position players. There's none.
Right.
Is that in the last year or two, they've changed their staff. That Ryan Garco, head of player development, they've hired some respected people throughout the organization that wasn't there before. And maybe, and I say maybe, that'll make a difference. But I believe, look, anybody, they could have taken anybody and said, well, Al picked them, so it'll suck.
I reached that point.
And you really can't argue.
And I don't know if Tiger fans felt the same way. It's nothing against the person, the player. Logically, the pick checks out, but the guy making the pick and the system that he's presided over doesn't churn out position players. Like, maybe Riley Green pans out, but, like, where's the example of they took a guy who was raw and he got better after spending 2 or 3 years in the Tigers system, and he hit the ground running, and he was a drilling success, multi-time All-Star. As a position player, I don't think it's happened since Travis Fryman.
Right.
So, I mean, when
Granderson, but that's about it. And a lot of his All-Stars were Tigers.
Right.
They got Scherzer out of it. So I'll give him Granderson. That's it.
I mean, he didn't take a high school arm. But if that's where the bar is for Al Avila, then we've got our own set of problems. But I was initially panicked they were going to take another high school arm and say, hey, just keep loading up. At least they took a bat. But Stoney, I can't even give them the credit because I don't trust them to develop the bat.
Well, so no matter who
I would have been frustrated. Well, yeah, welcome to Al Avila's Detroit Tigers.
Exactly. Look, I'm not going to sit here and lie and pretend that I know all these guys. Obviously, I don't. But in doing a little research after, the one guy that they might have taken a chance on, now granted, other people passed too, and he wasn't picked, I think, till 18 by Cincinnati, is Collier, who some people had as like second or third on their board. He opted out of high school. He did the Bryce Harper junior college route. Maybe that was a slotting issue. I have no idea, but why would Cincinnati pay? Because they don't pay anybody. So he's the only guy that you sit there and say maybe, who knows if the catcher who was taken right before them by the Mets would have slid it, that would have done anything. I don't know. Look,
I just thought the timing of the day that you send Torkelson down, let's take a look at Spencer Torkelson, for example. This guy was drafted #1, plus power. Better prospect than Young, who they took last night.
Yeah, and everybody, consensus by everybody.
And we didn't know where Tork would play. kind of like
Yeah,
young.
remember they drafted him
As a
third base.
They jerked him around third base, now first base. He comes up. They just let him wallow for almost 300 at bats. They should have made this move a month ago.
Yes, they should have.
We can get into that in the 7 a.m. hour. But on the day that you send Torkelson down, you draft another college bat. And I have that backdrop. Like, that's what's in my mind. I can't help it. I can't help but be despondent, be hopeless, to feel that it's all meaningless and the sun is going to envelop the earth and we'll all burn away. Like, I mean, that's how I feel with the Tigers. It zapped me.
It's analogous to feeling good about the Lions. You can't trust it, no matter who's running the show. Because your history is just, especially for the Tigers, well, both of them, but especially for the Tigers, the recent draft history, the developmental issues that they've had. Look, you're right, they could have drafted the consensus number 1, and you would sit there and say, well, they'll F it up.
By the way, we have someone on the ticket text saying, wait, did I just hear Stoney correct somebody else's pronunciation?
Yes, I know.
Great. What did you make of the Tigers going into the All-Star break, the draft? We'll get into Torkelson being sent down. It's next. It's 97.1.
WXYT FM and WXYT HD1 Detroit. An Odyssey station. Sports headlines. All day, every day. From the Sold by Mike Z Sports Desk. This is 97.1. The Ticket.
Brought to you by Southfield Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Jace Young and Peyton Graham, the newest members of the Tigers organization, assuming they sign after the two infielders were selected on day 1 by Detroit in the MLB draft. Both college players. Young, a power lefty from Texas Tech. They broke him down a little bit on MLB Network after the pick.
The thing they love about Jace is his intensity. I mean, obviously he can hit, but if you've seen video footage of this guy, he's as intense as a competitor as they come. And I'm terrible at the comp game. If I play it, my phone will blow up with people telling me it's bad comp. But he reminds me of Tyler Black from last year's draft.
Yeah, probably pretty good if you know who that is. But as for the current Tigers, Spencer Torkelson ends up optioned to the Mudhens after batting just .197 in the first half of the season in the majors. AJ Hinch says this will give Tork a chance to clear his head outside of the spotlight and get him back into the offensive force that they know he can be. Final game of the Tigers season yesterday, a wash in Cleveland, postponed due to weather and will be made up in mid-August for yet another doubleheader. And a crazy finish at the Open Championship, Cam Smith capturing his first major with a 20 under par score. A stretch of 5 straight birdies on the inward 9. Rory McIlroy becomes the first 54-hole leader in major history to hit all 18 greens in regulation and not win. His putter ice cold during the Sunday round, falling to Smith by 2 shots. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Chris Famara. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
Live from the Jamie Samuelson Studio, Stoney and Jansen on 97.1 The Ticket.
Get out of my way.
Even Wojo's jumping on that bandwagon.
Yes, Wojo today, the Detroit News. It's time. I think he just had to wait till the All-Star break.
Is that like an it's like an old-fashioned rule? Wojo had to wait till the All-Star break? He's like the last guy on board.
Rieger was calling for Wojo or somebody in the News Free Press to write an article, and someone suggested, hey, you work with Wojo from 6 to 8 every night? Ask him to do it. Well, apparently he's done it.
And I believe the headline was,
"Get out of my way, you..."
or something to that effect.
Yeah.
It's poisoned everything they do. They go 3-8 into the All-Star break, and fans are despondent. They have nothing to believe in. Even when they draft a college bat with some power, something people have been dying for, you can't help but feel hopeless about it because it's the same day they send Spencer Torkelson down to AAA, and they've jerked this guy around and let him wallow and struggle, and they haven't done very much to help him develop. How can I feel good about anybody?
I don't think they've really jerked him around.
He'll play third base. Who in the world thought you were going to play third base?
But that doesn't bother me. I'm talking about since he got called, since he became a major league player, they really didn't jerk him around. They probably played him too much because they thought, based on spring training and everything that they saw, that he would, obviously hit his way out of it. But this disease that has infected all Tigers, both young and old, as far as, hitting this season, has affected him more than anybody. And yeah, he should have been sent down, whether it's even a confidence level or anything. I mean, he's batting 197. His OPS is 577, 76 strikeouts. He's walked 29 times. Look, he's done a pretty damn good job as a defensive first baseman. He's not going to win a Gold Glove, but he's been fine at that. It's just alarming to me, and I don't think it's just the difference in the bat. How a guy who has so much power, and he does have 5 home runs, big whoop, can miss so many fastballs down the middle of the plate. It's mind-boggling to me.
Stoney, they have stats for this, and I'll give the credit to Evan Petzold, Free Press. This is where I saw it. Torkelson has batted .210 against fastballs this year, which is a little better than his season average, but 139 against four-seam fastballs, 147 against pitches over the heart of the plate. They call it like middle pitches, like the sweet spot.
Yes.
He's hitting under 150 against meatballs.
I believe they call them cookies.
They're fast cookies.
He can't hit the gimmies.
I know.
Imagine that Cookie Monster gift, except without the chopping sound.
Just empty.
It's empty.
Look, I don't know what it is. You know, sometimes when guys go to the minors, especially in a situation like this, it just helps them with confidence. They'll start hitting and they come back, whatever, whether, when Hinch said, what, we don't know if it's going to be a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. I don't know why this wasn't done earlier. I don't know if that's Al's call, AJ's call, whose ever call. It was the wrong call.
Well, you know what? People talk about the defense, and I think that's a flimsy argument, because as important as defense is, I think first base defenses are going to make or break your team. And by the way, they're a team that needs to hit. If they were mashing, if this was a team that was top 5 in baseball in offense, you go, it's fine. Let Torque figure it out without any pressure on.
Well, that's what they hope this kid who they just drafted, who's, if you believe what you read, you love his hitting stuff, but you read about his fielding, and it's like, okay. But you know what? If he can match, who cares?
Well, that's what they said. So I was doing a little bit of the scouting report reading last night, and this Jace Young, they tried him at third in college, and right side of the infield only. Even he would admit he doesn't have a strong arm. So second base is like fingers crossed, best case scenario. A lot of people think he's going to be a first baseman or a DH. So
Torque becomes the first baseman.
And this guy's, you drafted a DH in the first round. You need a hitter.
I don't care. If he can hit, that's all I care about. I don't care if he can field or not right now. As long as you don't put him out there every day and he makes error after error after error. That's one thing. No, they just need some, and it's going to be, I know he's in college, so it's still going to take, if he's any good, 2 years at least.
Sure.
Minimum, so we're not going to be seeing. And they, evidently, the guy they got in the second round, the shortstop from Oklahoma, they won the national championship, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a good hitter. People say.
Yeah, people were surprised he went in the second round. 2
college hitters. It's what maybe he should have been doing a couple years ago. Speaking of things they should have done a while ago. Probably should have done a while ago. Young had more walks than strikeouts, slugged over 600, 300 hitter in college. A lot to like about him as a hitter. I can't help it with the backdrop of the Torkelson stuff. So I don't know, Stoney. They say a couple weeks, a month, we'll see. It's probably the right tack to take. You don't want to tell him, go down for 2 weeks and we're bringing you back up, because he has to go down and actually succeed. And if that takes a month, it takes a month.
Right. Some ticket text. There's no way we can justify the hitting coach not being fired or demoted. This team can't hit a curveball or a slider, period. This must happen, especially seeing Avila screw the draft up again. Look, I believe that the hitting coaches are overrated when they're good, and they're too much criticism when they're bad. It's the same hitting coach from last year, right? When Scope could hit and Candelaria could hit. I don't know if they changed anything. Look, I wouldn't cry for Scott Kuhlbach if they got rid of him at the end of the year, but I think it's more than that. You're saying players drafted and play for Tigers. Plenty of hitters are drafted by the Tigers to get traded and succeed everywhere. If you believe Al will be fired, then this is a great pick, because someone else will develop him. Now, Al will be gone before these kids get developed. He'll be gone at the end of the season, or promoted upstairs.
Of course.
Honorary position.
Do you realize, and I saw this over the weekend, that most of the Tigers brass has